Hello, everyone. Welcome back for our afternoon sessions to the NCUC Policy Conference. We've got quite a treat this afternoon after lunch. ICANN's brand new CEO, Fadi Chehadé, is here to give some some welcoming remarks to the community. And so without further ado, let me turn it over to our new CEO, Mr. Chehadé. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I feel very far from all of you, but I have a feeling I have to stand here to be on the camera, right? I have to stay here because I can move around here. Okay, if it's okay with you. Is that microphone working there?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a bit too formal. I'm going to leave my notes behind and just, if you don't mind, chat with you a little bit this afternoon. Thank you for welcoming me, Robin. Glad to be here. This is my first talk at ICANN 45, and I'm glad to be here first. I'm going to be sharing with you something that I'm reserving for the community on Monday morning. But I think this is the right place to to at least share thought, given who you are. On Monday morning, I'll be asking all people at the ICANN meeting to dedicate our successes, to dedicate the long hours we're all going to put next week, and hopefully to dedicate much of the outcome of the meeting for Malala, for the girl in Pakistan who, while we're all sitting here, sipping on coffee and having good meals, is fighting for her life. Malala wrote a blog in Urdu at the age of 11, and as a result, some people decided to shoot her in the head and the neck because she wanted education for kids, for girls. She's on my mind. I'm sure she's on your mind. And frankly, I choose that to share with you because it's what drives me to be at ICANN. For me, this is what ICANN is about. I know we all get lost in the numbers and the addresses and all the things we have to do. But the reason I left my world and I joined ICANN is just this. It's to let people like Malala express herself. It's terrible that the world treated her the way they did. But I hope all of you join me in whatever form you wish to do to share your thoughts, share our efforts, and hopefully our successes this week for her well-being. So that's something I just wanted to share with you up front because it's top of my mind. I wanted to thank the organizers of this great conference to bring all of you around to support the great cause and the great activities that you are all looking after. This is central to the definition of our job at ICANN. What you do is not tangential, is not marginal, it's what we're about. And frankly, if the causes you care about are not just heard, but actually part of the DNA of what we're doing at ICANN, then frankly, we lost a lot of our legitimacy. So I personally want to tell you that my biggest and toughest job at ICANN, I already know that, is going to be maintaining the balance of all the constituents that actually bring value to this community. This balance, this issue of balance, which is very natural, say, for a father. You know, my kids ask me all the time, how do you not love one of us more than the other? And I don't know. I mean, many of you here are parents. Can you answer this question? You really can't answer this question, but somehow you can't love a child more than the other. It's just normal for a parent. And here at ICANN, somehow I need to figure out how to balance all these voices in an equal way. I was speaking in Budapest last week, and somebody was saying, but you claim you're a multi-stakeholder, we're a multi-stakeholder as well. I said, told them we're not multi-stakeholder. We're a multi-equal stakeholder. That's the difference. You may listen to everybody, but is everybody really at the table? So I think that the toughest job I have ahead of me is to actually not just talk about the balance between all the voices and the communities and the constituencies, but to actually behave that way and to actually ensure that all of you participate in the great adventure that we're all in, to make sure that this ends up, this big thing we're all working on is truly at the service of all, not of a few. And I know that sometimes voices can be louder than other voices, even between my kids. I know that one of them is much louder than the other, and he can get his way all the time more than. And it is my job as a father and with his mother to actually make sure that we listen to all of them. And we make sure that if one expresses himself differently, it doesn't mean that he's heard less. It doesn't mean that he's less a member of the family. It doesn't mean that his or her issues are reduced. Quite the opposite. In fact, as parents, we tend to make up for the fact that one voice is not heard as much as the others. So I just wanted to start with this before I get to some business and some open, hopefully, discussion with all of you, to let you know that in my core, this is going to be a priority. And I'm already pushing that across all the levels of ICANN. Monday will be the 40th day of me being on the job. And as a student of ancient Egyptian studies and philosophies, having come from Egypt myself, 40 was a very important number in Egypt. 40 is the time it took them to embalm someone after they died. And until today, by the way, many, many cultures memorialize the life of someone on the 40th day after they pass. This all comes from that time. So I'm not planning to die on Monday. All I'm saying is 40 days is a time of passage. It's a time of going into a new reality. And I feel ready for that. I feel that Monday will be a good time for me to start on this. Let me tell you what I did all summer. Some of you I met in Prague, so let me give you a sense of what I've done all summer. I spent all summer in the most important and most difficult exercise of any leader, and that's to listen. Just listening. I had in total over 72 one-on-one meetings, most of them lasting an hour to two. A lot of one-on-one time. I also met with all of our staff. I went and sought them and found them and met with them. Everybody, including the guy who changes or fills the coffee beans. I spent time with all of them. I also spent time with the board of directors of ICANN. I spent one-on-one time with all of them. Many of your leaders. I spent time with Robin over Skype, David and others. So I did take the time to listen. And the listening exercise never ends. I'm not declaring the end of listening. Listening is what makes us all act in the right way. And I plan to listen throughout the time you've entrusted me with this responsibility. But I'll tell you, the listening of the summer led me to a few important things that I want to share with you. The first is that there is an imbalance right now in the way we involve all the players, all the parties that are part of the ICANN community. And I mentioned to you earlier that because I think that's a very key thing that I felt. I think it's easy to very quickly look at something like the new TLD program, which is overwhelming and major activity, and then it sucks the air out of everything else. That's all everybody's busy with. It's easy. That happens even in our households, right? We get busy with something, we leave something else. But that's, frankly, in my opinion, a failure of leadership. As a leader, I need to stay above any particular activity and ensure the balanced approach is actually permeating all the parts of the organization and all the resources of the organization and all the activities of the organization. So that's one thing. Second thing I learned and heard is that engagement at ICANN is not a structured activity. There's a lot of engagement. Everybody will stand up and say, I'm talking to these people and I'm meeting with them and I'm... Okay, how does this all fit into an engagement plan? Because without a plan, you fall into spending too much time with whoever is in front of you or whoever sends you more emails or whoever is screaming loudest. But with a plan, you actually are looking at all the parts of the community and saying, what have I done here? So the first thing I did on my first day on the job is hire 2 very senior people to actually lead the structuring and execution of an engagement strategy and plan. And they're both here today. So I welcome Sally Costerton, who's sitting there next to David. Maybe, Sally, you can stand so all of them see you. Who is our new Chief Engagement Officer. Her job is to put together an entire plan and strategy to engage with our stakeholders. And next to her is Dr. Tarek Kamel. And Tarek will be our head of engagement with the governments. Now, immediately you look at these 2 individuals who are far more experienced than me in their craft and will bring to the table many things I couldn't. And you say, why have someone with the caliber of Tarek just on governments? We need 10 Tareks, 1 for each constituency. Or why are you singling out the governments? So 2 things on that. The first is governments are a unique beast that has unique ways to be dealt with, unique protocols, unique language, unique background. And I don't have this. I just don't have it. So I needed someone with a very strong background that understands how to work with the governments. The governments also, as many of you in this room know very, very well, have probably the most power in changing things whether we like it or not sometimes. So we need to pay special attention to them. We need to engage with them. In Budapest, I had the pleasure of meeting the Minister of Telecommunications of India. Minister Pilot, in the first 5 minutes of my meeting, if he had a baseball bat, he probably would have hit me on the side of my head at least 10 times. That's how mad he was. Why? Why is it that he's upset with us? Why is the government upset with us? Turns out, he knows very little about us. Someone gave him a piece of paper that says, go after these guys, because this, that, and so. After he spoke for 5 minutes, fortunately we only had 15 minutes, but the meeting ended up being almost 40 minutes. And by the end of the meeting, not only was he engaged, he directed his staff in front of me to start in India immediately an effort for 2 months to bring all the stakeholders of India, and I'm repeating his words, the civil society, businesses, various government agencies, the users at the table, to produce, he said, a way to engage with ICANN that touches all civil society and the parts of India. And in 2 months, I'll be ready, Fadi, and I'll get back to you. That's engagement. That's what Tarek is coming to do with governments, and that's what Sally is here to do with all of you in our community. And engagement is many things. Engagement starts and ends with one thing: listening. Listening. And listening is not an empty exercise. It's actually one of the toughest exercises. Real listening. And listening is a loop. You take it in, you think about it, you analyze it, you get back to people. That's listening. It includes advocacy. Working with you to advocate the key things we all care about. It means relationship building. Real relationship building. Minister Pilot exited the room, left his staff behind, gave me his personal email, and told me next time I'm in Delhi, I'm at his home. That's relationship building. And I will invest in this relationship because India is very important to us. Right? Not because it's a country, but because it's 1.5 billion people that we need to listen to. So relationship building, and then finally, and most importantly, is also providing the community with a way to engage. So this is another thing I heard this summer. It's difficult to engage with ICANN. Sometimes it seems like it's a wall. Throw things at it, sometimes they stick, sometimes they don't, and then we don't know what happened. I don't know if this resonates with any of you, but I heard that a lot this summer. Now, this is not for lack of trying. I mean, I must tell you, my looking into ICANN, when I walk out of this staff team that I was given, it's a remarkable team. It's a remarkably committed set of people. And they work too hard almost. In fact, one of my goals is to figure out how to make them work a little less. These guys are in the office 15 hours a day. It's remarkable. This is burnout mode. And why? That's a different question. I'm not going to get into it. Why people work so hard has to do with many things. But the people we have at ICANN are good people. But the tools we have for all of us to work together, in my opinion, are broken. We're dying under the weight of email. When I landed from LA to Toronto, my iPhone showed 70 new emails. This is a 4-hour trip. It's just not reasonable. And this is constant, right? So why is that? Because we don't have tools. In the business world where I worked at IBM, for example, we have things called ERP systems that allow you to manage manufacturing. Without an ERP system, nowadays, your manufacturing system will fall apart. So I asked my team, what is our ERP system? How do we work? When people in your community want to communicate with us, how do they do that? And how do we give them visibility? And frankly, most of the answers were, we have 95 websites at ICANN that we manage, different websites. We have wikis, we have tons of email. And remember, when I spoke in Prague, I told you, coming from the outside at ICANN, it is daunting. Because I'm new to your community. So when I finally accepted the job, I said, okay, let me go and look more and learn more. It is daunting to learn about ICANN. So how do we expect more people to come to these tables and join us? It's very difficult, right? So one of the things we're doing, which I will announce also Monday morning, is I'm going to open all the windows of ICANN. I'm going to let the sun in. We're creating a new system, which I won't tell you much about because it will be announced Monday morning. And it's just the beginning of it. We have a roadmap for it, and we'll seek your input to it. But that system is going to actually open a lot of windows into ICANN and will allow you to see what's going on inside ICANN in a very new way. And we have lots of ideas around that. But to me, being fully transparent, and I've just asked my team to literally physically remove the door of my office, because I want the staff to start seeing a new ICANN, a new culture of openness, a new culture of, I have nothing to hide. I'm here to work with everyone equally, and everyone should know what I'm doing. So this morning, I spent 3 hours with my executive team. And by the way, I tripled the size of my executive team, which was a novelty for them, because before I came, there were 5, 6 people in the know, and then everybody else spending 20% of their time figuring out what the hell is going on. So I said, you know what? Let's triple the size of this team. I brought 36 people into the executive team, and I meet with them all the time. Multiple ways. We started a bunch of things, including a WhatsApp call, which I do all the time, to tell people what's up, what's going on. Just opening the windows. Open the windows. Let the sun in. Let everybody know what we're doing. So one of the things I'm going to tell you now that, again, I'll show Monday, but since I'm here, mine as well, so you can think about it more this weekend. We're going to take every activity going on for which we spend every penny at ICANN, and we're going to put it into a single portfolio that will be visible to everyone. Tell me which government, which institution, which company does this today. By the time I'm done, you will literally be able to our website, to this new website, and say, hey, what's going on at ICANN that is related to IDNs? When? Every single project, program, its status, who owns it, will be in front of you. Tell me what's going on related to your constituency, because we're going to track everything by constituency. So we're doing a whole bunch of things to change the openness, the visibility, the access to ICANN. And that should improve not only the ability of all of you to know what's going on, but also your ability to attract more members to your group. Because right now, if you bring a new member, it's very hard for them to even get their hands around, how do I participate? How do I work with you? We're going to make this a lot easier. And this is just the beginning, guys. It's 40 days, and I'm not dead yet. We're just starting. We have a way to go. So I'm here largely to thank you for what you do for our world, which is immensely important. Multi-equal stakeholders. You need to be at the table. You need to know that you're at my table. You're at the table of ICANN. And you're a very important voice to what we are and who we are. And I will make sure of that. And when I'm not there, I want any of you or your leaders to actually call me on it. Okay? And we don't need to destruct each other, because I saw a lot of that going on in Prague. We need to work with each other. If you believe in what we're doing, and I believe in what you're doing, we should be able to work together. We should be able to reach out, and even one of the most vocal people in Prague who multiple times came up to the microphone and gave it to us, after I spent time with him, he said, quote, maybe it's time for a more charitable phase of working together. No, I won't say who it is. But very important that we appreciate that. And again, my words shouldn't convince you of anything. It's my actions. It's what I do. So let's watch each other and let's support each other and let's be a team. Because frankly, what I'm doing is I'm breaking the walls around ICANN. I told everybody in Prague, no more fortresses. No more fortresses. Instead, we should remove the walls, become an oasis, and people should point to us as a place where life exists, where good thinking, where people come together and make good decisions. That's the goal. So I'm going to remove the walls and give visibility, which comes with accountability, which comes with trust, mutual trust, and I'm inviting you all to come in. And be critical. It's okay. I'm critical of my kids. I'm critical of my wife. They're critical of me. That's okay. It's part of what we do. This morning I was telling staff that in my home, twice a year, we do something called the truth dinner. You don't want to be there, but but this is when, my boys and my wife and I sit around the table and we're truthful with each other. And, all ranks are out. Of course, as Akram said, who decides when to hold the dinner? But truth is important. Truth begets trust, and trust begets good work. We have a historical opportunity today, all of us, to actually rise to this new level of working together. And this is not just platitudes. I'm going to prove all of this to you through how we work. And the new team at ICANN and the new leadership that I'm putting in place and that has graciously agreed to come and work with me. People that Sally has a remarkable experience working with both for-profit and not-for-profit entities around Europe and the Middle East. She was the CEO of Hill & Knowlton, a very well-known firm that has an incredible portfolio of activity, a real believer in what we're doing, in her gut, not just for the job, because she had many other jobs I had to pull her from, and I'm glad she accepted to come. Tarek has an incredible background to share with us, and already his interventions, he just came from Kuwait. He was there 2 days ago for the IGF meeting, and just the new spirit we're all bringing to these environments where we are explaining to people that we're here for no other reason than to allow people like Malala to continue doing what she's doing. That's why we're here. Period. And I want to finish, before I take some questions, if you have any, to tell you that the business community, which is often viewed as self-interested, and often they are self-interested, because that's what they do as a business community, is actually, believe it or not, movable on this. So I met in Washington a couple of weeks ago with a very senior member of the business community. Very, very senior guy. And Tariq and I, frankly, challenged him. We said, listen, you need to do more for other causes that may naturally be in your best interest. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing? Are you willing? And I will tell you, not only did he say yes, but he even said he's willing to do it not just with his company's money, but with his personal money. And he challenged us to come to him with a framework so that they start giving. So this goodwill, this good spirit is infectious. And we will spread it across the community. And we will challenge people to come up and do the right thing. And if our heart is in the right place, and if our actions follow what we say, people will rise. And we will be able to really serve the broader community much better as a group. This is a great showing. This is very impressive. I'm really impressed. How many people did you have at the San Francisco meeting? About this many? Not as many. This is good. This is great. I mean, I understand also you've just about doubled the number of people on the GNSO Council from the non-commercial side, and that's good. In the last 2 years or so, that's my understanding. And I hope more of that, because you bring a voice that is very important to us. Okay, so these were just my general remarks. I think we have a few more minutes if any of you have questions for me or would like to raise any issues with me. I'm happy to take any of these. Is there another one of these that I can pass around, or? No? Oh, there's one in the back. Okay. And please don't form one of these lines behind the mic. Just bring the mic and come on up.
Yeah, I rushed up to avoid a line.
Okay, no problem.
So it's Elliot Noss from Two Cows. Thanks for those remarks. I think they set a good tone. There's one comment you made that I find myself really wanting to sort of poke underneath.
Certainly.
And I hope, I'm debating whether I hope I'm not pushing you to be impolitic, but on the other hand, I hope that I am.
Push me.
You said very clearly for yourself, you know, you've taken all these meetings, you've spent time with lots of people, and you were obviously talking about not staff, but others in the ICANN community, and you know, I don't know how that was arranged or set up, but you said you came away from that with a sense of imbalance. Now, you know, I've been around ICANN since the beginning, and one thing is true. There is unanimity that there's imbalance, and there is also no two people who agree on exactly what the imbalance is. So I'm very interested to hear what you see the imbalance as. You know, where do you think it's overweighted? Where do you think it's underweighted? You know, who's not getting enough attention? Who's getting too much, etc.?
I think that two areas where I felt there's imbalance. One is between the world that understands English very well and the rest of it, because it's just where we are. And so reality is that if you really look at how much effort we've put to pull in non-English fluent members of society, there's an imbalance. Now, I don't look at that as necessarily a negative. I look at it as a natural part of where we came from. This is where we came from. You know, and that's what it is. But now we have an opportunity to change that. So that's an area of imbalance. The other area of imbalance has to do with, frankly, the commercial versus non-commercial interests. The reality is the organization for years was looking for money to survive. And so the focus may have been on ways to get money into the system. Again, I wasn't there. I'm just guessing. But I see more focus on the commercial side for maybe practical reasons. And I think this is almost like saying, we're all brain. Reality is, if we don't balance all the pieces, we're going to fall apart. We're going to lose our legitimacy, as I said at the beginning. So I need to work on that. And I need your help with this, frankly. I mean, it's not like I'm going to change this on my own. I need your help. What I'm going to do is I'm going to assure you that this is paramount for me. That if your voices and the voices of the people who feel unheard at the table to date are not given, it doesn't mean that we'll hand you everything you ask for. Obviously, you know that, Elliot. But it's giving you the opportunity to be at the table. Multi-equal stakeholders. Very important. Not one government above the others, not governments above us, and not one group above the other. That has to be established. And frankly, it starts with me. It starts with me. And for example, who I heard, just so you know, because you made the good comment. So first thing I did, which was different, is I said, any country or city I land in, the first people I want to meet are the people from at large, from the ALAC community. So before I meet with the governments, before I meet with the people with the big fancy suits, I want to meet the users. There is an at-large group in that city. These are the people I want to meet first. So that I did. Second thing I did is I said, I want to meet with the staff because these are the people who really put in all the hours and the hard work. I want to meet with the board because in the past, the board of ICANN and the staff of ICANN had a dysfunctional relationship. And that has to be changed. And it's already changed. My first all-staff meeting, the entire board was there. That had never happened before. I invited the whole board. I said, you sit with us. Today, I just had lunch with all my executives. The board was invited. Every visit I went to in Europe, I was in Paris, wherever I am, in Brussels, I took a board member. If there's a local board member, come with me to the meetings. So I'm breaking these walls between. And so I spent a lot of time with the board as well. And then finally, I asked to meet, based on the ICANN structure, with all the constituencies. And even within the GNSO, I'm meeting with the chairs of all the constituencies. So I went, frankly, and I was doing all of this and still running my company. So I had a pretty busy summer. I did as much as I can, and I don't think I covered every base. But I have time ahead of me here to do that. And if any of you feel that you have something very important I need to hear to achieve the balance, by all means, come and talk to me. You'll find me very open to that. Does that help, Elliot, a little bit?
Yeah. Now, we also may have a different view on, you said commercial.
Yeah.
Could you expand on that a little bit?
On commercial?
Yeah. Well, I mean, commercial could be, BC IPC, could be contracted parties. It's very different things. ICANN has a lot of very big companies that are present, and then a lot of companies that are regulated, but they don't tend to be big companies, and they don't tend to have the same government access, for instance. So I'm interested in your view, what you meant with commercial.
I'm not there yet, Elliot, in terms of being that specific. I need to learn more to give you this nuance. But
thank you.
But I appreciate the nuance, and I appreciate what you're saying. But I'm not ready. I'm not ready to answer that. We have one more question from the gentleman in the jacket there.
Yeah, when Elliot's at the mic, you never know. You may as well take a trip or something.
Hey, multi-equal access to the mic.
All right. So my question was, your sorry, Milton Mueller.
Hi, Milton.
I'm on the NCSG Executive Committee.
It's good to meet you. I know who you are now.
So same here. Very nice opening speech, and we really appreciate your being here. I was very impressed with the spirit of your talk. My question is about transparency. You described, I think, very well the daunting nature of engagement in ICANN and the 14 websites or pages or wikis and all of this morass that you have to navigate, which despite the best efforts of the staff, they're they're trying to be transparent, which is why you have so much of this information. So to my mind, when you say you're going to make things more transparent, I'm wondering if you're going to make things worse in the sense that there will be more incomprehensible information. Is transparency really the problem, or is it more something about accountability and relationships, the disconnect between the board and the members?
All the above. They're all important. I cannot, let's have this exact question asked between you and me, if we can catch up in the whole, after Monday, because I'll be showing you what I mean by more transparent access to information and the system that we're putting together, which will be launched internally now, but to all of you next year. I'll show you glimpses of what I'll do about that. But it's all the above. It's fixing the dysfunctional relationships. It's opening the windows. It's letting everyone know and being, it's okay for me to say we're not doing okay. You know, it's okay to admit when we're not doing well. And there are many things we're not doing well at. Okay? So it's all right. Let's start there, you know, with standing up and saying, we messed up. And so let's fix it. And even in my team, by the way, Milton, I think I'm already discovering that there's a culture in ICANN of almost being afraid to say you messed up. And it's okay. You know, so today I spent 3 hours with them telling them, listen, you get the responsibility, and if you mess up, it's okay. We talk about it, we fix it, we make sure it doesn't happen again, and you carry on again. It doesn't mean it's the end, you know. So there's a culture of fear that I'm completely, this morning I just cut it. And in fact, I told them if I see people being afraid to admit their mistakes, I will fault them more than if they made the mistake. So this is very important. And a lot of that I shouldn't bother you with. This is kind of our kitchen. I'll take care of it. I'll get the kitchen straight. That I can do. What's more difficult for me is the balance part. That's why I brought it up first. Because for me to know the balance, I need to listen to all of you. And I don't think I'll know the right balance for a while. So I need to listen to people like Elliot and you and others who sensitize me to all these nuances, all these various things. So I'm not going to rush to anything. But I am very focused on it. It's on my mind. It's on my mind. Thanks, Milton. I'm over my time, so I'm going to hand this back to Robin. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chehadé. We really appreciate that. Why don't I also take this opportunity to thank our event's main sponsor for today, which is CGI.br, the Brazilian Internet Steering Committee, without whom none of this would be possible. So we thank you all very much. And let's have a couple-minute coffee break, and then we'll get started in about 3 minutes on the next panel on the changing geopolitical landscape of ICANN and Internet governance. Thank you.